Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Rewrite, the show where we take your favorite TV shows and movies and, try to improve them, try to make them better, see what we can do, to get in there and really let the creative juices flow, if you will. I'm Daniel. On my left is Trent Howell.
How's it going, guys? I'm an amateur film director and editor and actor, and I don't have a lot of friends, so I do everything.
Wow, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. And on my right, James Gilbert.
Yeah, hey guys, I love making short films, stuff like that as well, and also do artwork and lots of different fun, creative endeavors like that too.
Absolutely. Groundbreaking stuff. Episode 3, we got a good one for you today, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell by the stuff on our table, we're doing Star Wars. We're doing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Number 2.
Heck yeah. Strap in. So let's just jump right into it. Trent, take it away, I guess.
Heck yeah. Okay, so
Excited.
I'm gonna state by saying I thoroughly enjoy all the prequels. It's a bit of a contentious topic, but I thoroughly enjoy them all. Now, Attack of the Clones is probably the one I see as the weakest, and that's mainly because of the dialogue.
I don't like sand.
But I think the movie itself is very salvageable. Like extremely salvageable. But I'm just gonna go through the movie real quick. Just gonna go through what I feel in this movie and kind of lay out some of the groundwork. So I won't go crazy with the rewrites, but I'm definitely rewriting 30-40% of it, because it does need to have some fixing in this movie. So it opens, and you've got some interesting stuff. What a lot of people don't pay attention to is the title crawl in this movie, and it really does set a lot. You see that there's being a bill to create a Grand Army of the Republic, because some people have fallen away from the Republic, and now they are separatists. That's not really established as a clear political group. They're just kind of established as bad guys. I think it'd be more interesting to see them as a rival political party who is like their own kind of area. And so maybe more emphasis on that. And then Padme's thing throughout the entire movie should be focusing on this bill and that kind of scene. She should still be in hiding, but that should be her main goal, is to be against the bill, which she kind of loses focus of halfway in the movie, or after a quarter of the movie even. Near the beginning, you have a scene where Obi-Wan jumps out the window, and it's super epic, and it's really cool. It's a great sequence. It really is. It's freaking awesome. But I feel like it would fit Anakin's character just a bit better if he was the one to do it, Because he's a bit more impulsive, a bit more emotional, cares about Padme a bit more, you know what I'm saying? Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're witty banter. It's not that witty. It's really kind of just meh. I feel like Anakin, instead of being over emotional the whole time, he needs to be more kind of closed off in the movie. I think he should put more effort into being a good Jedi, and then he should be let down by the Jedi, and that's why he falls away more. He should be kind of just more reserved, and Padme is a kind force in his life that kind of breaks down walls, and that's why he opens up more to her and then kind of allows himself to fall for her in that way. A bit more fathership with Palpatine in the scenes that they have together.
That Anakin and Palpatine have together?
I think that would help a lot.
Yeah.
When they're chasing the bounty hunter, Zam, the changeling, through Coruscant.
The drums.
Whoa, the score. Oh my gosh. Again,
We'll
better than Halloween's score.
I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
When they are going through the little flame area, Zam shoots the power couplings, and Obi-Wan is like, watch out for the power couplings, and Anakin just plows straight through him. And there's not really a consequence. They're just like, for a few seconds.
Yeah.
It should short out their vehicle, and that's why they lose Zam a little bit later. Their vehicle's like, and they just kind of die and hover in the middle of Coruscant. And then Obi-Wan's like, well, look what you did, you jerk. And Anakin's like, I'll be back. I hate it when he does that.
Jump out of
yeah.
it. Okay.
Then when they go into the club, they get Zam, comes outside, Anakin should start threatening Zam. Obi-Wan should pull him away and be like, yo, what are you doing? You're a Jedi, come on. And that's when Jango should attack, not just like
Dart, and then he disappears.
it was a bounty hunter. Like, right. Like, come on. I feel like Anakin, obviously he does a lot of complaining the entire movie. And that's okay, but I think it should be more disguised. I think he should be more of a underhanded complainer. Like, he's like, I'm grateful for the opportunity to test my patience so much.
Yeah.
Like
That's sort
clearly
of passive aggressive.
yes, he's just insane. He's just like, Obi-Wan has given me many opportunities to train, and I value him as my master. Just like things where it's like, you okay, dude? You need anything? Like, clearly he's complaining. The biggest thing that I want to change is the Naboo scenes. They're gone.
Cut him entirely?
Well,
Okay.
not cut them, but severely alter them. I want to change them into more of a assassination attempts, because she's hiding from assassins, but she never gets any more attempts on her life.
True.
So I think it'd be very interesting to see different assassins go after Anakin and Padme, and that's what makes them bond, because shared trauma brings people together. On Naboo, I think it'd be really cool if they were having dinner and it was like kind of awkward, and they're like, yeah. And then some commando droids, which are seen in Star Wars The Clone Wars. Great show, amazing show. Proof that the prequels can be fantastic. So commando droids, they just bust in and they're like, and then Anakin's like, we gotta go. And then heads out to the ship and they escape. Maybe they go to like Alderaan and they get attacked there. Because I say Alderaan because Padme's good friends with Bail Organa, who goes there, or who lives there. And that would give Alderaan a bit more meaning in episode 4 too.
Good way to introduce that world, yeah.
He goes to Tatooine because he needs to see his mother because he feels something wrong in the Force, and that's fine. I like that. I like the whole him slaughtering the Sand People. I think that's a really emotional, powerful moment, and I like it. I think he should attack the Sand People, and then he sees a bounty hunter or another commando droid on the edge of the Sand People village, kind of being a scout, and then he's like, oh gosh, something's wrong. And then he runs back to the Lars homestead where Padme and the Lars family's at, and then he like unleashes, like it's even more intense, and he's just like letting everything out and just killing. I think there should be some people, it shouldn't be droids only, like he should be clearly killing people, and that's what prompts Owen to be like, there's too much of his father in him, or like that's what I'm afraid of, you know, in episode 4 where he's like freaking out that Luke is trying to go away. And
Okay, yeah.
Honestly, I don't have much changed in the droid factory or anything there. No,
Okay.
I think it's fine. There's some like goofy scenes, and same thing with the Geonosius fight. Like, oh my gosh, it's so cool. All those Jedi, wow. The fight's pretty much the same. Go to the Count Dooku part. The fight between Anakin and Dooku, I don't like at all, because it's like a close up of their face and then a red or blue light passes their face, and it drives me crazy because it could be so good.
Yeah, which I think a lot, it was just because Christopher Lee was older and couldn't do a lot of the...
I mean, but he's in some of the wide shots and he's working fine, I think.
I don't know if they edited over his face or had a double or something, but...
I know
that's the excuse I've heard.
In episode 3, they have the CG double that does the flip over.
Oh yeah.
And then there's this really ridiculous part where Padme shows up on the LAAT, and then they come in and Dooku's leaving right then, but the ship stays there and doesn't do anything. It's like, oh, Dooku, choo.
Oh yeah, they just like kind of pew pew.
Yeah,
shoot at it, nothing happens.
They should like go and then shoot a missile, and then Dooku should be like, and then a missile hits it and then it blows up. Like there should be an effort there. It shouldn't catch him, but there should be an effort. Yeah, that's pretty much like the main story points I want to change.
Okay.
And like I want to shoot it on film, obviously, because you know it's Star Wars and everything's better on film. But I do think it would change some things. I want to shoot more practically. The full CG environments are kind of bad.
Hokey and yeah.
Like the Jedi Temple just feels super bland at times. yeah, that's pretty much what I got. What you got, James?
Okay,
what you
great.
got?
Yeah, I like a lot of the points and stuff that you brought up as well. But I think there's a lot more that I would change about it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go
Okay.
a little far-fetched maybe with some of this.
Okay. Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
But basically, so I don't want to rehash too much what you said because I like a lot of it, what you said, and agree with a lot of it. But I came up with sort of like my good things, my bad things, and like the just ugh things. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So kind of the highlights on the good things that I like. I mean, whether you love or hate the prequels, like the design work, the world building and stuff in it is
Goodness, oh my
absolutely
gosh.
wonderful.
You get so much more expansive.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like you really get to see the scope of these giant worlds. Like Camino is crazy, and Naboo, like you really get to feel like a bit more of Naboo in that movie.
Right. Whereas before you're just like on Tatooine in the originals, and
Yeah.
that's about it. Like kind of, and you're in space.
Yeah.
But you get to see more of the
It's like-
galaxy, which
it's
is
like
really cool.
Forest or desert. Those are kind of the
Right,
only
yeah.
environments. Or space.
Forest,
Snow.
desert, and space.
Or snow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have a lava planet in the third.
I know.
That's wild.
You do some crazy stuff in the prequels with the worlds and the character designs and stuff like
Oh
the
my-
different aliens and different droids. It's so great. It's really good. So I'm totally on board with that. That's a great thing. They have a lot of good callbacks to other moments in the originals or in the prequels. Stuff like the Obi-Wan cantina scene, where he cuts the changeling's arm off, or R2's carrying a message for Obi-Wan or from Obi-Wan, sort of things like that. Lots of fun little callbacks that you're like, oh, I see what you did there. Sound design and music off the charts. Those are so great. Like the sonic blast that he's blowing,
those
that
seismic
Jango
charges.
Fett's- yeah, those crazy noises and stuff. So good. Really good.
And John Williams.
Oh yeah,
Goodness.
of course. Always on point on his game. And other than that, I think there's actually like there's some beautiful shots here and there in it. I know you want to get rid of a lot of the Naboo scenes. There's a lot of them that are really pretty, really beautiful shots.
Pretty
I
doesn't
think.
mean good.
I know, not necessarily, but for a visual person like me,
Yeah.
like I'm just like, it's a pretty picture, Or like I think there's a scene where Anakin's going to find his mother and he's like talking to the Jawas.
Yeah.
And it's like their big ships and he's just talking
They're
and
kinda
they're silhouetted
silhouetted,
against the
yeah.
sun, like things
That's a
like
very
that. I'm
nice
like,
shot.
yes, more of this, right? So incorporating more of that would be great. And then my bad things, the love story's not great, right?
It's awkward, cliche.
It's awkward. There's just creepy,
It's just they
weird
say
moments.
exactly what they want. They say exactly how they're feeling and what they want at every specific moment.
And nobody does that.
Yeah, no one
Not
in real life has ever done that. And it's kind of creepy when they do say it.
Right? Yeah. For me, Count Dooku, I feel like he's lame. He's not a good villain to me. And he could be, I think, but I have no emotional investment in him, right? Like in the prequels, villain right away, first like couple minutes of the movie, Darth Vader enters and he's your villain throughout the whole thing. So you're invested in him being the bad guy. Whereas with this one, they bring Dooku in like 3/4 of the way after the movie's almost over, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the guy you're rooting against. And you're like, wait, what? Who's he? What's going on? So I'm fine with keeping him in there, but maybe as like a side villain, like keep him as this political idealist leader that's leading people, and maybe not a Sith. Maybe he's not, an ex-Jedi, or if he is an ex-Jedi, he's just not the main villain,
Oh, gosh.
right? I know that hurts you. That's like one of my big changes.
I don't know if I can get behind that one.
And I know he's got more involvement in like the Clone Wars and
he's
stuff
so
like that.
cool in the Clone Wars.
But even in episode 3, he's in like the first 5 minutes and then he's gone. So like, why am I supposed to care about this villain when he's hardly around and he has no attachments hardly to the other characters?
Well, I think
No conflict with them.
a great
really?
way to throw him back in would be, as the leader of the Separatists, who are a more political figure. And this is an ideal scenario. He's more of a political figurehead on surface level, and then you kind of learn that he's Lord Tyrannus, a Sith Lord, and I really think it's underplayed that he was Qui-Gon's master and was taught by Yoda, and fell away.
Yeah, they just kind of mention it in passing.
And it's really interesting. There's also some really good deleted scenes for Attack of the Clones. Some that I'm appalled that they didn't
that they
leave
took
in.
out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, we'll come back to that more. I've got more to say about who I think a villain would be and how to do all that, how to handle all that. Other things that I didn't really like, other bad things. I feel like, I know you like a lot of the big stunts that the Jedi do, like Anakin jumping out of the speeder and falling through the city and things like that. I feel like it's too much sometimes. Like I feel like the Jedi just aren't so grounded in this. Like they're just like these invincible superheroes that can fall thousands of feet through traffic and
I mean, they can.
I guess. Or can like fall and then whip around a lasso and hook it and save himself at the last minute kind of thing. Where I'm just like, come on, give me something to fear for them, right? If they're invincible, they're boring. And then like you said, there's bad chemistry between people. Like Anakin and Obi-Wan, they should have great chemistry together. They've been together 10 years, I think, in this movie, and there's just like nothing going on. There's some good moments here and there with them, like when he's asking him a little bit about his mom, but then they immediately cut away from that and go back to him whining about Padme. Just other little things where I feel like they could be really witty and have that fun banter, and maybe, even butt heads a lot, but when it comes to like their fighting and them, being at odds with actual enemies, like you can tell like they're in sync and they have each other's back, that they've been together for 10 years, even though like in their words maybe they're a little bit snippy at each other.
Yeah.
Right? I want more of that.
I think it's a good kind of like, they work really well together in the Geonosis fight, and they feel like kind of that brotherly bond there. And then a butt heads example would be where Obi-Wan's like, we'll take him together, and he's like, I'm taking him now.
Yeah, it's the little moments like that.
Yeah.
But like even just watching it, I feel like Obi-Wan had more chemistry and fun banter with the diner greasy cockroach guy than he did with the guy he's been Dex, the cockroach diner. Than he did with this kid that he's raised for 10 years, right? Speaking of the diner scene, don't like it. Like, why is there this random 1950s diner in the middle of space?
It feels weird, and this is a valid criticism.
Yeah.
But
like, who designed that part?
I really like Dex, and I don't know. Okay, fine, you might be right, but
if not for Dex, if not for the diner, then where in God's name would the overworld in Lego Star Wars be set at? Where?
He's got me.
Okay, if it doesn't serve the movie, it's worth it just for that. When I think of the cantina scene, when I think of that robot droid waitress, I think of...
You want a cup of chow juice?
Honey, you want a cup of chow juice?
I think of Lego Star Wars on Xbox Original. And when I see Dex, I don't see a cockroach diner man.
With a mustache.
No. I see the store from Lego Star Wars 1 where you would buy new unlockable characters and trinkets. I'm just saying. Okay.
He's got a point.
Master.
He's got a point.
Yeah.
It's true.
I can't
It
imagine.
does-
I recant my...
It does have its problems though in the live action version. Is that all the bad stuff?
Other than that, like, I don't really like that they're split up all the time because it kills like the momentum in the movie sometimes. Like when Anakin's going searching for his mom, it's like building up to this momentous part, even with the music, and then it just stops, goes back to Obi-Wan's scene for a while, then comes back and it splits it up and takes you out of the moment. I think
that is probably the editor's fault.
Maybe.
Because intercutting can be used very effectively. If you've ever seen Inception or basically any Christopher Nolan movies, he's a very big fan of intercutting. You need to build the tension cohesively in all the movies. So when one gets dull, you cut to the other. You don't want to have the moment lull. You don't want to have it like peak and then cut. because then you're just like, why'd you cut then? That doesn't make any sense. And I agree with that. It definitely does happen. Some of the movie where you're going, and
then it's like, wait.
Like, that scene was getting
look
so
over
cool
here.
though.
Yeah. Other than that, though, those like just cringe moments in the movie, everyone knows them, right? Anakin's kind of creepy. Some of the comments that he says, he's just so awkward with her. I don't like the factory scene at all. Like, I suddenly feel like I'm playing a video game where I have to rush through the chomping bits, and I don't like that.
Maybe change it a little bit, but like the idea of going through a droid factory is really cool.
It could be cool, but yeah, I just don't like how they did it with the conveyor belt and everything.
I can kind of agree with that.
That could be a really cool setting. I agree with that, but the flow of it and everything just doesn't work for me.
I mean, the C-3PO scene.
Those are some of my other cringy moments, like C-3PO and Obi-Wan's quips here and there. I'm like, ugh.
I will never take out the puns. She seems to be on top of things. I'm quite beside myself. R2, you're such a drag. Those are amazing, and I love them so much.
I remember I laughed at him when I was like 12, and now I'm just like,
you were a much smarter 12-year-old than me, because I didn't get them until I was like 20.
I got them. I loved them. And then, like, Padme's love confession just comes out of nowhere, as well as the part that always makes me cringe the most. Anakin jumps on like the rhino thing. Padme jumps down, and it's like,
wait,
and I'm just like,
that's your most cringe?
That's my most cringy moment for some reason. Her like jump from 30 feet onto the back of this rhino, and she's just like,
my most cringe is,
and I'm just like,
I don't know. It's either the shoulder.
So bad. Oh, that's really like creepy cringy.
Or the one where you think Anakin got trampled, and then they start rolling and laughing for way too long.
That roll in the hay scene.
Yes.
That's a bad one. I like the kiss.
You do?
Yeah.
This whole video is just going to be a bunch of cringe compilations
really
by the
is.
end.
So let me get away from that there.
Okay.
So what I need to see from the movie, what I need from episode 2.
Yeah. Throw me a bone here.
I need to establish really well Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, so that I care about them in episode 3 when they turn against one another and fight. So, like I said, I want them to fight and bicker and banter, but when it comes to actually physically fighting the enemy, like there's no doubt that they're in sync, that they have one another's back, that they're a team. And I also want to really establish, like you said, the relationship between Anakin and Palpatine.
Yeah.
Palpatine's not in it a lot. There's some little moments here and there where like he's coaxing Anakin's ego, and you're like, okay, I like this, but I want more of it, because he's such like an important character. He's in
it's kind of hard to do so much in like a 2.5-hour movie or even 2-hour movie, and that's why I think the Clone Wars is so successful. And I mean, not just because it's really fun and really awesome to watch, but like you see the slow progression of Palpatine coaxing Anakin and pointing out every little thing the Jedi Order does.
Right.
Like, oh, they didn't give you the command here? Interesting.
Yeah, like I want those subtle little undertones that he's slipping in, so that when he turns in episode 3 and joins them, he's not just suddenly like, I guess I'll be your apprentice, but that there's that fatherly relationship that he's massaging his ego for so long with, and it's an easy choice for Anakin to
betray the people who have let him
to go
down
against Obi-Wan, who's his father figure, to this other guy. Or maybe not an easy choice, I don't know.
I don't think it should be an easy choice. It should be hard for him. I think it is hard for him.
Right, definitely. But he seems like he makes it so easily in episode 3 is what I mean. Okay, so I need that. Establish Anakin, Obi-Wan, establish Anakin and Palpatine.
Okay, reasonable.
A villain that I connect with better than Count Dooku. So, I don't know. They did it in Clone Wars. Bring back Darth Maul. How awesome would it be if Obi-Wan tracking Jango Fett to Geonosia, he's like in this dark tunnel or coming into this dark factory, and he sees someone coming to him, and he's just like, he brings back that Darth Vader quote. He's just like, I feel like a presence I haven't felt since, You know, when he says that
Yeah.
he feels Obi, and he just sees like lights,
Okay.
double-sided lightsaber
The
ignite, and
scene-
he's just like,
The scene you're
How great would
describing
that
is
be?
really cool, but I hate when they bring characters back from
I
the
know,
dead
but
like that.
They do it anyway in Clone Wars.
Okay,
so-
but like when they bring him back, it's really cool, and they don't overuse him,
yeah.
and it's very like he's very sparingly used in the Clone Wars.
But I have like an emotional investment in that villain, if you know what I mean, right? And so
Yeah.
does Obi-Wan, which makes it more compelling for me. So I don't know. I don't know if you'd bring back him specifically, but I need something like that.
Okay.
Okay. Anakin wise, like you said, I need him to express more small distrusts in the Jedi
Mm-hmm.
here and there, or small distrust with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like a lot more undertone things, less whiny teenager. Well, I want to see an actual moment, a display of Anakin's like, I'm the chosen one, force power. Like maybe he can't tap into it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, there could be like an amazing moment where he's struggling, you know, after his mom's gotten killed or they're being attacked at the Lars homestead, like you said, where he just like, poof, like explodes,
Yeah.
like force power, and you're like, dang, this is freaking Anakin
That'd be pretty
Skywalker,
cool,
the
yeah.
chosen one, right? And yeah, I like what you said too about where they track down the changeling and like Anakin's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
confronting him like kind of violently. I want little moments of that too, of like maybe there's small bits before his big blow up
Yeah.
where he's like losing his temper, where he's like almost like about to torture this changeling or
Yeah.
something like that. And then so little moments where he can slip up and catch himself maybe, but then that big moment where like he lets it go and like embraces a lot of dark side power.
The way I see Anakin in mind is he listens to what Obi-Wan says and like is actively trying to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
But literally everyone else should be pushing him in the opposite direction. It should be
Right.
natural for him to express emotion and to kind of lash out and be so emotional. And it should make sense too. Like,
Yeah.
I really care about this person. I want to protect them. I need answers now. The fastest way is just threaten them. But that's not a Jedi way. And
Right.
like he should realize that and try and conserve himself, be less emotional. But it should show more.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like I like that idea. And speaking of that, one of the ideas I had was actually making Padme a lot more of a kind of a not so good character. Like what if she starts siding with Palpatine more as well, and she's kind of undercutting the Jedi to him as well, because that's a lot more of a reason for him to embrace
If I wouldn't
the
say
dark side. If the woman he loves is kind of like, maybe the Jedi aren't so good.
I wouldn't say necessarily say that Padme should go with Palpatine, but there was a storyline where she joined the Separatists in Episode 3 and was meeting with the Separatist leaders and left the Republic. So I think maybe that kind of progression is like, oh, Palpatine is clearly letting the power get too strong, especially now that we're moving towards a time of war. He thinks we need this. She should be like, the Jedi are kind of changing. They're maybe not once what they once were. They're, especially in Episode 3, it could come out and be like, hey, you guys are generals. I thought you guys were peacekeepers.
Right.
Which is a big, again, goes on in the Clone Wars. You're like, oh, we're peacekeepers. No, you're war generals.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And like, that's interesting to see and interesting to talk about.
Yeah, like there's a lot going wrong with the Jedi that they don't really address. It's just kind of like you gotta read between the lines.
And it's
to see.
interesting
that's great.
stuff.
Yeah, I wish they would.
It's
show more of
really
that.
cool. And it's like, wow, I would love to dive into the psychology of some of these scenarios and
Right.
situations.
Because they've like grown so big, they're so arrogant that there's evil Sith right in front of them. And
One of my biggest problems with Attack of the Clones really comes down to it doesn't have a lot of subtext and everything is surface layer. And Lessons from the Screenplay, another really great YouTube channel, has a video or podcast about it. And it really, like, everyone's just saying everything. And it's not just the love scenes, too. It's just, there's no deeper meaning to what people are saying. There's no one's hiding what they want. And you really need that.
right, because that's what all the, especially the Sith are about, is that those hidden agendas, those meanings, and that's what a lot of the politicians should be about too.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. So we agree on more of it than I thought. There's
We
just
agree on a decent
couple of
amount.
those big points,
I'll throw down with
villains
you.
and things that.
Count Dooku's so
Well,
cool. The
I don't love
concept
him.
of him is just
Why?
okay.
A Jedi that's gone bad? That's like
Not that
all
he's
of
just
Star
bad.
Wars.
Not that he's just bad. That he leaves the Order,
Uh-huh.
and the Jedi are like, oh, he left. It's not a bad thing that he left. He left. He didn't agree with the path. He lost faith in the Republic. Is what they say.
I do like, because he brings that up about Qui-Gon a little bit when he's
Yes.
walking around talking to Obi-Wan.
That's cool
And I'm
stuff.
like, let me know more of that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Yeah. If I can chime in real quick.
Sure.
I do kind of agree. I don't remember which one of you said this, but you know, he's got a personal connection with a lot of the people in the Order, right? Like
Yeah.
he knows them. Like he's, you know, and I don't know if like if it's talked about more or if maybe in episode 1 or like something, you know, you kind of see points where like he's still kind of on the path. I don't know. I don't know. But I do think it's underused, his connection with everyone, right? Like he has very personal ties with a lot of the people that we're seeing on camera, and yet we never get a true feel for like the depth of, you know, those characters and how they know each other and the relationships that they have.
Right.
Like him and Windu, you know, don't really have much of anything when they see each other. And like that's a wasted opportunity, I think, you know, like they could have definitely.
Speaking of which, Mace Windu is probably one of the coolest characters in all of Star Wars, just because it's Samuel L. Jackson. They need to improve his dialogue, obviously, but a lightsaber in front of freaking Jango Fett going, "This party's over," is so cool and so awesome.
Yeah.
And then
I would have loved to seen him and Dooku bust out and have a lightsaber duel up there, like on
Yeah.
the balcony when all that's going on too. That
he
would've
just
been
kind of
great.
walks off.
Right?
It doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I mean, and that scene is awesome too, because we've only ever seen Jedi fight one-on-one or
Yeah.
with
But,
Darth Maul
like,
3 at that
50
point.
or 60 Jedi.
So
That's
lightsabers
such a crazy
igniting
image.
all over the place is so great, and especially like the scene after that. I think it's when they destroy a ship and there's a big dust cloud.
Yeah.
And it's just like red and
just
blue
see-
laser
yeah.
fire. Such a beautiful shot too.
That's really cool stuff, actually. Yeah.
Let's jump into the rankings here.
Do it.
Cool.
Let's start with the plot and story. Trent, you can go first. Just 1 through 10 or whatever. However you feel like you should.
I mean, it's got a decent structure on its own, and I guess I'll give it a 6.
6. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because it makes kind of sense. There's people who want to kill Padme. They leave. They see their friend in need. They come back. He's also doing stuff, trying to find killers. But it's just not the most engaging. So
Okay. I'm gonna go weaker than that actually. I know you've mentioned before like that it's like a mystery,
yeah,
noir
it's like
mystery
a
kind
noir
of
kind
thing.
of deal.
And I don't like that about
What?
it actually. No. I'm like, that's not Star Wars. When has that ever been a Star Wars plot line?
I think it should go harder into the noir. I think Obi-Wan should do more detective work on his own. I think maybe there should be like a little detective scene in the beginning on Coruscant. Like maybe the attack on Coruscant doesn't happen so soon, and they're just guarding Padme, going out and like doing some little Snoopy Snoop stuff. That'd be interesting.
It could
to
be
see.
cool, yeah, if they did it, but I don't know. Like, I would have loved, honestly, if they had done more on Coruscant, like the whole Geonosia battle. What if they had done it in like the sub levels of Coruscant?
Okay,
That could be pretty freaking
that'd
cool.
be pretty cool.
But so anyway, the plot story, I'm gonna give it a weaker 4, 5, 4.5. Go right in the middle. There's a lot in it for me that just
These guys are
Yeah.
nuts. These guys are nuts.
anyway.
Tough, but fair, I suppose.
I'm gonna
Okay,
be tough
so
on it. It's okay.
how about the acting, guys?
Okay,
Go ahead.
you got some great actors.
Absolutely.
You really do.
Phenomenal actors.
Ewan McGregor,
Awesome.
probably the best part of the whole prequels. So he's on his own. He's just like a 10 because he nails the Obi-Wan as a character. You got Christopher Lee. He's great.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Count
Natalie
Dooku's
Portman.
Count Dooku's really cool. Natalie Portman, a great
Goes on
actress.
to win Oscars and stuff. Yeah, it's just great.
You've got Samuel L. Jackson. And I'm going to defend my boy Hayden Christensen. I think he was just given bad lines. I think he can do it. I want to see him. I'd love to see him in a new Star Wars movie. I want them to bring him back. Maybe as a Force ghost. Maybe
Fans would hate it,
as,
but
well, the fans can suck it.
Fans, they're all over the place, right? Honestly, yeah. If you've seen him in other things, he does really. Episode 3, huge improvement.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of it is
such
just
a good physical actor. I fear
experience too.
Yeah,
like they were young kids at the time, right? So they're not gonna talk back to George freaking Lucas and be like, "Can I do it this way instead?" Whereas other people that were in it before, I heard this somewhere. I'm not coming up with that on my own, but like Harrison Ford can come back to George Lucas back when he was doing the things and be like, "No, I'm gonna deliver it. I feel like Han would deliver it more this way."
Yeah,
but Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen, 16, 17-year-old kids, I don't know how old they were.
I think they're a bit older.
Yeah, they're probably older than that, I'm sure. But they're not going to come back and say that to this prestigious...
I'll give acting... This might be controversial. I'm going to give it a 7. Just because I feel like it's less about the acting and more about the writing.
Okay. Well, I agree with you. Tons of amazing actors. And Ian McDermott as well. We didn't mention him.
Yeah.
So good.
He's just really underutilized in the movie.
I feel like even with some bad lines and bad dialogue, there are just some moments that just don't do it. I'm going like maybe a 5. And it's only saved that much because of, you know, Ewan McGregor and Ian McDermott and some of the better ones.
You're hurting me.
I know I am.
Me.
Moving on, I suppose. How about the cinematography? What do you guys think about that?
Okay. I think this is where my gripes come in.
Okay.
Because the way I see the cinematography is just a lot of missed opportunities for some much more like you have some creative and interesting stuff, but especially on Coruscant, I don't know. I feel like CG it's too much in a lot of cases.
ILM just went crazy.
I mean, they're at the forefront. Fun fact, this is the first movie fully shot on digital. So huge revolution, and I'm not against digital by any means, but it's a tool that should be used sparingly. And CG the same way, like tool used sparingly. Let's use it a bit more sparingly, treat the camera like a real object and put it in normal places and just think a bit more about the shots because there are some just throwaways. Like, especially on Coruscant. Coruscant has the potential to look baller as heck, but it's kind of just bland at times.
Yeah.
Like, it's got color pops, but it doesn't hit, you know, if that makes sense. I don't know.
It kind of all just feels fake.
Yeah. And then at the very end with the fight with Dooku, the fight choreography, I don't know if this really counts for cinematography, but the fight choreography with Anakin, I don't like wands past the face. I need something more. Even if you got to use a stunt double, I don't care. Show me something else. Use a CG double if you have to. Use it sparing, but that's kind of where I'm at. I'd probably go maybe a 4 for cinematography.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it's a lot of missed opportunity.
I think I'm about around the same number as you as well. Because I agree.
More for you.
Really?
Yeah.
There's, I don't know, maybe a 5.
Five?
There's some good moments. Like I mentioned a couple of those shots that I really love.
Yeah.
The dust cloud shooting back and forth, like these really pretty moments. Yeah, they could have just utilized some parts more, especially to emphasize like Anakin's struggle of light between dark. They do it in, I think, the third one, where he's holding a red and a blue lightsaber and he's got like the two sides on his face. It's like little moments with lighting and things like that they could have really used to emphasize emotional moments in the film that they just didn't do much of because maybe they were just super excited about doing it all digitally. I don't know. Who knows why? But yeah. So maybe 5. I think so.
And finally, the film score, the music.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
10.
So good.
Easily a 10.
I feel like John Williams can do no wrong. Yeah, he's up there. I wish they had carried on like the Duel of the Fates theme
Even, like,
a bit more through it.
Like when a scene doesn't work, it's mainly redeemable because the music is so good. The music carries the film so much, honestly. And I don't like that, but I love John Williams and I love the movie because one of the reasons is because of the score. Padme and Anakin's theme, great. It's heartfelt. It's beautiful.
The moment when he finds his mom and that like anger triggers
the strings or whatever.
Yeah. Ooh.
And you're just like, oh my gosh.
Like those are moments that like build it up. If only everything else was working in conjunction with that too. Holy cow, it would be great.
You can see how it would come together and how it could be so much more powerful. And it has just the pieces are there. They just don't align properly.
Not quite right. Yeah.
Sometimes you can actually like see and hear and feel the like intensity and emotion from a scene more in the score than you can, the acting and cinematography, which, like is unfortunate. But I mean, there are some scenes where even if what I'm seeing on screen isn't like doing a super good job conveying anything, right? Like the film score alone just like chills, almost like just goes right through you. Yeah. So I think I agree with you guys.
Yeah, super great score, but like I've heard before, you should be able to watch like a movie on silent, on mute, and still be able to know what's going on and connect with all that. So if you could watch it on mute and those other things were lining up, then you add some John Williams stuff in there, that would be so good. Oh my gosh. So 9?
9? I'm
9, 10?
Solid 10 for me.
I don't know what would bring it down a point for me, but maybe just the other things not lining up is what's throwing me off.
You punk.
Just to make Trent mad.
Let's take a break and go write a scene real quick. And,
let's do it.
We'll come back and share something with you guys from Attack of the Clones Rewritten.
Interior, Naboo bungalow, dusk. Padme sits at a long table alone while Anakin talks to a security guard across the room.
No, I think we'll be fine without anyone in here. Make sure you check in when you've scanned the perimeter.
A Naboo security agent nods and exits. Anakin sits and silence ensues. It's awkward.
So, Annie, have you had shockpot roast before?
No.
Oh. Well, what do you think?
It's fine.
Is there any food like this on Tatooine?
Not really.
A pause takes the room.
Do you miss it? Tatooine? And your mother?
Anakin lowers his gaze.
I try not to think about it. Master Kenobi says, attachment to the past is still attachment, which for the Jedi is forbidden.
And that's expected of all the Jedi?
Anakin nods.
Seems awfully difficult not to form any attachments.
It can be.
Anakin gazes at Padme, then looks away as if ashamed of his own thoughts.
Attachment isn't terrible. At least, I don't think so. It shows us what we care about. For example, I requested you for the security detail because, well, I know you. We have an attachment.
I suppose that's true.
And I wouldn't say that our attachment is wrong,
well, that's
would you?
I see why the Senate holds you in such high regard.
Padme smiles slyly at Anakin. She rises from her seat and moves to the lounge, gazing over the expansive vista through a large glass pane.
Would you mind telling me about your mother? Your life before we arrived?
I really shouldn't.
Padme looks at Anakin with comforting eyes.
Annie.
Anakin rises and slowly makes his way towards Padme.
My mother raised me on her own. She taught me how to be strong and help others.
I didn't speak to her much, but I remember how she cared for you.
She always let me tinker away on my different projects. Granted, I was also a slave forced to work on pods and starships, but even now I barely have a spare moment to fix something.
Anakin holds and is softly shaking.
I think about her often. She usually visits my dreams. I made her a promise when I left.
Padme lays a comforting hand on Anakin's shoulder. He looks at her with concern in his eye.
Padme, this feels wrong.
Padme removes her hand.
My apologies.
Anakin gazes at her and then looks away, slightly confused.
No, not guards. They haven't checked in yet.
Anakin looks outside and then suddenly to Padme. He force pushes her across the room, out of view of the window, just in time to miss a flurry of lasers. Anakin gets hit in the shoulder and drops to the ground. He motions to Padme.
We have to go! Now!
Anakin stands, drawing his lightsaber. 2 commando droids make their way to the shadow leader, blasting at Anakin as Padme crawls past. She heads down the corridor into the landing platform. Anakin turns and follows, locking the door behind them.
We can take one of the security ships.
Not a bad idea, milady.
They head out to the platform and are about to board. Anakin pauses and ponders for a moment.
Stop, wait. No, not that one. Get on that one.
Padme looks confused but does as requested. They board the ship and take off. Below them, 2 ships explode.
Never a dull moment with you, Padme.
All right, guys, that's about it for this episode of Rewrite. We hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment. We'll get back to it. We read all of them. Leave 12 if you want, 13. We'll read all of them. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We have those. Ring the bell, subscribe.
Don't want to miss these videos.
You don't.
They're far between.
They're bombs. Thumbs up. Just the support.
We're not
you can
quite
give.
monthly yet, but we're working on it. We're trying our best.
Yeah, it's a process.
Let us know what team you're on. Team James, where you hate Count Dooku, or Team Trent, where you think he's a real cool dude, not that bad, more of a political idealist, not a murderer.
Yeah, and anything you have to say about this, if it's feedback, we love to hear that. And if you have any ideas for what you think we should go over next, if it be a TV show, a movie, even a video game, it could be, just let us know. We're super
tweet.
into the ideas. Yeah, we want to hear what you have to say. I think that's about it. You want to plug anything else?
Check out our Patreon. We've got some cool perks, and we really appreciate the help. But thank you guys for watching. And that's probably about it.
That's about it, yeah. Thanks
Okay.
for joining us.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.